Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Staying Connected, where we explore the depths of self, people around us, and our environment. We hope to uncover the life lessons and give advice, meaningful relationships, and to learn more about one another through open and honest conversations. How's it going, guys? I am Kenny.
And I'm Scott. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So
All
for
right.
today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit more of our failures, some of our favorite failures that led to the most growth. And we'll touch upon some of our successes as well. But as far as failures as far as they come, especially for myself, it seems like failures have always led to more growth in not only my personal life, in my career as well. So I just wanted to ask you this, Kenny, what's been your favorite failure in your life so far? And for this episode, we're just going to talk more about our career failures, and we'll dive into the personal failures later.
Later on. Well, for me personally, yeah, career-wise, my most favorite failure was, I guess, going back to a job that I hated. I don't know why I went back to that job. Um, I guess just a little more background of that experience. I was a college student at that time, and yeah, I was just trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do and just try to find work and find like the finance to help pay for college and all that. So yeah, I decided to apply for an administrative assistant job and yeah, worked that full time in addition to going to school full time. And I guess just the environment of being in that job was already like not really my favorite thing. Um, I guess it was the people and just the amount of tasks that were given, and also yeah, just not having that much flexibility um, based off of like yeah management and yeah. So I mean, know that I was also a full time student, so
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like restricted for me to um, have a lot of like flexibility. They wanted me
Right,
to constantly work, not really empathizing on the whole student part.
right.
So I was there for, well, couple months, let's say half a year. And then I decided to leave. And then, yeah, just focused on school. And then eventually I decided to go back. Why I decided to go back? Um, because at that time I was kind of like lost in whatever I wanted to do. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
was I was young. I'm young now, but um, yeah, it was just something that I really needed, like financially, and I guess just my work performance as well allowed them to kind of see my potential. And although I didn't like the job as much, they still hired me back, and um, just the environment stayed the same. So I think based off of that experience, it really taught me that, you know, you're gonna be in a job that you either love or you hate kind of thing. And yeah, through that experience and just working in different environments, it allowed me to just kind of reflect on, yeah, what exactly I want to accomplish in my life, like career wise. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this has to be like one of my favorite failures because it taught me that, you know, it taught me what I like and like what I want to shoot for in my career. And yes.
Yeah. So two questions, Kenny.
Mhm.
First of all, what did you do at this position, and what made the environment not so um,
Mhm.
what's the word, friendly or like cultivating for you
Mhm.
as a young professional coming up?
So I mean, different tasks. I mean, administrative assistant that really included like answering phone calls, filing, copying, all of that. And um, yeah, it was constantly just like that. But then me being the youngest in that particular company, I would always get stepped on from
Mm-hmm.
the older people because I mean, not only they were there for quite some time, but because I was the youngest, they felt like they needed to have that higher role and
When you say
position.
step on, like what do you mean by step on?
Step on, like they would tell me, like I would have my way of doing things, but they would, in the end, tell me to do it their way.
Mm-hmm.
And that really didn't give me room to grow within that position because I was just um, forced to follow their way when there's definitely other effective ways that we can, I guess,
Yeah.
do
Did they
things.
explain why you should do it their way, or they just
No.
like my way or the highway, Kenny?
Yes, that's one of the things. It was either their way or yeah, that's it, their way. And yeah, I mean, I endured um, the first 6 months of working there, and um, yeah, it was a challenge, but at the same time, I I'm a strong person, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
mentally just telling myself, yeah, it's this is just like I was a college student, and thinking about it at that time, I was like, might as well learn to work in this environment because there's always going to be other jobs where I have to deal with these kind of people too. Which later on, yes, I mean, I had other jobs that were similar, but this is kind of like the one that really stood out. And yeah.
Did you get a chance to make any friends, or was there people around your age at that company?
No, everybody was actually like at least 5, 10 years older, more so 10 years
Uh,
older. So, and yeah, everybody was out of college, and um, yeah, everybody's been there for a long time, so they really had their way of getting things their way, and yeah.
I guess a follow-up question, and then I can chime in this as well, is when you go to a company and then people have been there for a while, and they have a certain way of doing things, right? And for some reason, it's just they can't they force other people to do it their way, and it seems like there's no other solution. I want to get your take on this, but from my experience, the people that usually do that is just they have a massive ego. It,
Yes.
you can no longer like that kind of employee just brings out the morale, the culture that you're trying to create if you're a manager, and but you can't, it's hard to fire that person because they're still doing their job, although not as efficiently as you want them to be. So
Yeah.
from my line of work, I've seen that most of the time it's just their ego and the inability to you know fail a little bit in order to succeed in the future. They don't want to show their coworkers that they're not capable of doing such things because they've been successful in the past at wherever they're doing. So I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, personally for me, I mean, I'm not a fan of like micromanaging because it really reflects on how much you trust that person, and to have somebody physically right there behind you
No, it's terrible.
just watching you do your work, it is really distracting.
Mm-hmm.
um, Even if the person isn't saying anything, it's kind of like, do you really trust me to be working here at this
Exactly.
point?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that, like micromanaging and
You
just
know,
that?
starting this podcast has truly helped me with that aspect of my life. And because before, I I always like to do things a certain way, and I prefer that people do things a certain way because I find myself, you know, when I do a certain things, it's pretty efficient, and then there's a
Mm.
system to it. But I've come to find like working with you, it's like I need to chill and not micromanage you because I
Mm.
want things done a certain way.
Yeah.
That's where the trust comes in. It's like I believe in your skills as a person and as a professional, so I need to just get out of the way and let you do your thing.
Mm.
And what we need to do is figure out, what's our goal, what's our
Yeah.
objective. If we know our goal and objective, you know, I let that person take the reins. It's like,
Yeah.
go ahead, use your skills. And as for me, like, what can I do to support you even more to help you achieve your goals? Am I
Mhm.
giving you enough resources? Am I, giving you the right feedback? Am I communicating the objective correctly with you? And I feel like if I do that, and I let the person come up with their own plans and come up with using their own creativity, that person ends up being a lot happier. They don't really to be more creative. They want to work on the project.
Yeah.
So as far as starting this podcast, it's like I, I I've learned to just take a step back and just let
Mhm.
you do your thing, Kenny. So that way,
Yeah.
we can be, because if I just helicopter you the whole way, this
Yeah. It's
this
good.
podcast doesn't become fun anymore. It becomes work. And for me, um, this podcast is so fun. Like working with you, Kenny, is so fun. You're probably the easiest person to work with. So
I mean,
all
we
my two
yeah.
projects, yeah.
I mean, it's been pretty awesome so far, and yeah, we have like our own creativity and all that, and yeah, of course, different personalities. Um, and yeah, with the whole idea of like working together, and now virtually, it's been quite a challenge. But at the same time, we make ends meet, kind of thing, and
Hmm.
um, we definitely learn along the way on our own personalities and how we can effectively, I guess, bring out these podcasts weekly and all that.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
it's a long-term game. The way I see it, it's like there's
yeah,
no need to nitpick so early on everything. Like we
yeah,
have time. Like this is an ongoing project.
hmm,
If we need to make changes, then we can make changes in the future. Slow little
yeah,
changes, and eventually it'll turn into the product we both
yeah,
want.
yeah.
So, um, let me ask you a question about, since that failure led you to understand what you like in a environment or in a job. So, can you talk more about what you like now? Like maybe an idea of what you like.
Well, based off of this administrative assistant job that I
Mm-hmm.
took, I guess I mean there's a lot that I learned from it too. Learning how to be more organized,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to network with people, um, and learning how to just work with different people in general, and understanding that there's always going to be a bunch of like effective ways to do something
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And yeah, for the most part, just taking these opportunities or these experiences as a way to flourish and to understand what my likes are. So yeah, I mean, I like to multitask and be organized as much as I can. And yeah, I mean, we talk about like time management and prioritizing everything. It's very key. And yeah, just being able to continue that into my other my future jobs and all that is was very helpful. And even to this day, like not just career wise, but personally, yeah, my day is filled with trying to be as organized as I can,
Right.
uh, multitask whenever, yeah, just different obstacles come along the way. And yeah, just try to network as much as I can with other people, even during this uncertain time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, continue this project. It's which is amazing. So
And we'll definitely need a future episode on how to network. So be
yeah.
on the lookout for that. As far as like knowing what you like and whatnot, just
Mhm.
wanna look into a personal favorite failure of mine.
Yeah.
I believe it was 2015. I think during that time I was like bouncing everywhere. I didn't have a stable job. I think I was unemployed for a couple months, which was absolutely miserable. I can't imagine people that are unemployed now. So
Yeah.
I feel your pain. So, but as far as like this it was like it was like kind of like an HR accounting job at this company. The first time I did the interview, we went up to an elevator to this like really really small room. I believe it's like literally the size of a small apartment. So on one side they had three people, right? It was the manager on one side, and then you had the other two HR people and on the side. And then where I sat was like in the corner. They had to clean it up in this corner. So like in the beginning,
Oh.
I felt like it looked like I felt a little isolated from everybody else. Because from where I sat, you couldn't see the manager because there's this wall blocking the way.
Okay.
And it was hard. Like if I wanted to communicate with someone, I had to like walk all the way around. And like for other people, they can just like turn right next to them and just talk to them. And one of the weird things that I found was like, even though we were so close to each other, we're literally 10, 15 feet away, they would like just pick up the phone and call me. And I understand for efficiency and all that, but like I'm right there. So I always made it a habit to like walk over and talk and have human interaction. But anyways, during the job interview, I told this person like, hey, I don't have this much experience as much as you want in this area, but I'm always willing to learn. I'm willing to put in the hours. And she told me, oh, okay, no, that's fine. We're gonna teach you everything you're gonna need. I'm like, awesome. Sounds like a great environment already. But when I started working at that job, the manager would just like shift roles, and she'd be like, oh, how come you didn't do this? How come you didn't do that? We need it done by today. And in my head, I should have probably said something, but in my head, I was like, you told me you were going to walk me through this. And in hindsight, she shouldn't have hired me because I don't have the experience. So I think they just needed people. So she started getting really mad at me. And for myself, I was extremely frustrated because I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And anytime I asked the manager for help, she would give me like, she would make like signs, and then she'll get frustrated herself. Every time I ask for help, she'll be like, all right, Scott, I'm coming. Give me a couple minutes. And that discouraged me to ask anyone else for help because I didn't want to seem like a failure. I didn't want to, like I wasn't already good at my job, but I wanted to put up an image that I was trying at least. So I remember that specific day. I was driving to work, and it was like raining. Everything. It was like all gloomy. It felt like an early 2000s R&B movie. I was like, oh my goodness. I woke up and I'm like, oh, I feel miserable. I believe it was a Tuesday. I just woke up all miserable and like, oh God, I do not want to be here. And I believe that I think I spent like a good 16 hours at that job. Like everybody left. My manager was like, hey, you have this deadline. Don't leave until you're done with it. And in my head, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But again, I didn't speak up. So I take personal fault for that. Like I should have spoke up. But at the time, you're so young. You want to make an impression. You don't want to get fired. And I just remember me in that office at like 10 p.m. at night. I was just like, I teared up. I straight man tears. I just let everything out because no one was there. And I was like, I looked out the window. It was still raining. And I'm like, I saw my reflection, and I was like, man, what am I doing with my life? Is this where I want to be? Not even for the rest of my life, like for the rest of the year. Actually, not even for the rest of the year, for the rest of the month. Do I see myself waking up like this every single day, Monday to Friday, and my only escape is the weekend? And I didn't do anything. I stuck through with it stubbornly because I thought things were gonna change, but it came to a point where the manager was like, "Hey, we're gonna have to let you go because I don't think you're the right fit for the job." And I told her, like, she's absolutely correct. This is not the right environment for me. The people around me didn't help me that much. They all focused on their own jobs as they should. But like, no, it wasn't cultivating at all. No one, we weren't like working as a team, and like I felt isolated from the beginning. So that was probably, like, looking back now, like, man, like, I'm glad that happened to me because I didn't want to get stuck in that position. And that was probably the job that like pulled me away more from the corporate side, and now I work more, on the healthcare side, like working with people individually, actually making a difference. So from there on, like your experience, now I know what I like, and I try to stay away from offices as much as possible. And I
Yeah.
want to be with a company that cares about their people. I want to be with people that motivate each other, inspire each other, challenge one another.
Yeah.
So from that point, I'm like, even though I'll be unemployed for a while, let me pick a good company to really help develop myself. Because when you do interviews with people, not only are you doing interviews for yourself to get paid, but you're also interviewing the person interviewing you. Is that person a right
Exactly.
fit for you? Is their leadership style a right fit for you? Are they gonna manage you pretty well? How you gotta ask the questions. It's like, is this company worth it? Is it worth putting my time here? Because time is so valuable and you'll never get it back. So you gotta spend the right time at the right place with the right people. So I'm
Exactly.
so fortunate that I cried at that office after 16 hours. I
I mean, yeah,
felt
if it's
miserable.
yeah, I mean, if it's a job that makes you cry, it already
Yeah.
kind of says a whole lot about, yeah, what you have to do next.
I
But
think
yeah,
at
I
that
like,
point,
yeah. Oh, you have something?
no, and I think I was saying, like, at that point, like, I was unemployed for a while, so I was just
Mm.
desperate for a job. And when
Yeah,
you're desperate, you'll take anything.
that's how I was with my administrative assistant job. It's like, it's very competitive out there, and I mean, there may be a lot of jobs, or not even a lot of jobs. You just have to go out and try it out. And I mean, based off of our experiences, we learned, yeah, what exactly we dislike and like in the end. And I guess going back to what you were saying, speaking up and asking questions, that really stood out because, you know, at that time, I mean, you're still like young and fresh into that
Mm-hmm.
position. And that's also, I find that the perfect time to ask as many questions as you can, and also speak up because, yeah, you're still new, and that's how you learn. And but unfortunately, with the whole management system there, it was definitely tough. But I guess moving forward from that job, do you feel like you've been able to kind of, I guess, ask more questions and get help from management and all that in
Oh,
your
oh,
other?
for sure. And
Yeah.
it starts even before me getting hired. It starts at the job interview. Granted, you can only know so much, but it's always good to ask the right questions. As far as like asking what kind of questions. So one of my favorite questions to ask an interviewer, especially if I know she's gonna be my boss, is what's your, like what would a successful person in my position do, or like what would I need to do to become successful at my job? And it's just like, oh yeah, you need to do this, 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 and then I hear her list, and it's so detailed that like there's no leeway for something,
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, that's I probably might need to look into that. Or like, how's the communication, or how's the collaboration work around here? And then it's just like, oh, you're the one to do everything, and it's like, I I'm not good at this. I want to collaborate with other people. And
Yeah.
like, oh, what's her communication style? You know, if she's the one that like needs you to send a detailed report every single day, would you want to work for that boss? You know, if someone's always like helicoptering you all the time, you know, so those are just the little things. Like, how about you, Kenny? How do you vet out the
I think, yeah, I
that
mean,
type of boss?
the whole interview process is so key. I mean, before getting the actual job, it's like it gives you a chance to really get insight on their, um, I guess their personalities and yeah, just the system of the work that they do. And asking questions is key. I mean, usually like every after every interview, I like to ask, yeah, just a couple questions. And like one specific question that I usually ask is like at the end of the interview, um, I like to just throw it back to them and say like, so what exactly, based off of this interview, what do you think that makes me uh, have the potential to work for you? Yeah.
Oh,
So, I mean,
I like that.
because you lay it out on the table in front of them, and it's just like you're testing their listening skills and
Oh, I like that.
also also understanding, yeah, where they're coming from as well. And yeah, I like to eventually like test them, kind of switch the roles.
I
That's
like
how with
that.
yeah, with interviews, it's although a lot of people kind of fear these interviews because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. Yeah, think of it as a way to just yeah understand your future employer and understand the job a lot more before you eventually take it. And yeah, that's
That's a major point that you just made right there. It's like that's my favorite thing about the interviewing process at the end. They're like, any questions for you? Oh yes,
yes,
yes, I do have some questions for you. And then now you become the interviewer and you get to learn. Oh, that's so important. I think that's just
yeah,
I think if anyone takes a point from that, like for interviewing skills, that's such a major point. Flip it back on them. Were they listening? You know, if
yeah,
they weren't, were they taking notes? If they're not listening to you now before you become an employee, if they don't know your strengths already or what you bring to the table,
yeah,
how are they gonna know when you're working for them? Like if they don't care
yeah.
now, what makes you think they're gonna care later?
So yeah, that's really the test in the end is how well they listen and yeah, how well they remember what your values are when it comes to
Exactly. Not
applying for
only
the
like
job.
are you a right fit for the company, is the company a right fit for you?
Yeah.
So we gotta remember that individual right as
Mhm.
like an interviewee.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a gem right there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a gem. I hope some people are listening, and that's a gem right there. Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
Um, Before we move on to successes, any other tips for like a young professional coming up, especially during COVID?
Mhm.
Um, I know a lot of students they're gonna be worried, like, oh, like I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of jobs left. Like,
Mhm.
I want to make money for my family to support my family, because that's very real. Some some families for graduating students they might be the primary breadwinner.
Mhm.
So, what other advice would you give to young professionals graduating from college that that what do I say? Some other advice for to help them to prevent like going to these bad companies that might take advantage of them. They know like these graduates they're desperate for a job. So how do you get out of that desperate mindset instead of like taking what's best for them, taking what's best for you?
I mean, you can do your research on these jobs beforehand, and um, but ultimately, it's asking as many questions as you can during the interview process. If you do get to that interview process, as we all know, it does take time to get there. But for yeah, just young professionals that really want to get that high up job, it's not, in reality, it's not going to be like that in the beginning. So applying for a job that will teach you this fundamentals of what you could use for later on in that higher up job, like the administrative assistant job that I got. Although it's like entry level, it really taught me everything about organizing and working with people and yeah, prioritizing everything and just learning the back end of the job. That's one thing to really consider because yeah, if you know the back end of the job, then you can kind of slowly go into these different departments and figure out exactly what you like. I would, I guess, I mean, you know, like the resume type of thing that everybody kind of questions about. That's also one thing that, yeah, when applying for jobs, try to find ways on spicing up your resume. It's kind of like, I consider the resume like a ticket to the interview.
Yeah.
And yeah, once I give, well, the employer, I would say they usually give at least 5 to 10 seconds to just skim your resume. And then if they see something that really stands out, then they're going to consider you. But if it's not as bright as they expect it to be, then they'll toss it away. So yeah, so working on that resume is key. And yeah, I mean, just tying it back to what I said, it's not going to be the high up job that you really want at first. You're going to have to work kind of right here and then just work your way up, walk up the stairs.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Just to add some more points, I think I'm thinking back now, like as like a 22, 23-year-old is like, would my 22-year-old, 23-year-old know what's like the best culture and all that? And would they know how to ask the right questions to vet out if that interviewer or that company is good or not? But I think the bigger takeaways would be, you know, when you're that young, is to, like you said, prioritize skill set. And is it an environment that will help you develop more skills? Because that's what you need when you're young, as many skills as possible. So when you're older, those skills are very transitive. And wherever you go, you can take those skills and apply anywhere, and it'll help you be successful. Another dichotomy is like, we're not saying if a job's a little difficult, just give up. We're saying that sometimes, yes, you need to go through a little struggle, a little challenge in your job. We're not saying that like, oh no, if it's making you cry and then like you're just extremely frustrated, speak up and do something about it. But if it's a little challenging, but there's people supporting you and you're making progress, keep going on that path, because you do need a little struggle. You do need a little challenge wherever you go.
Yeah.
You got to find the right balance. So if it's too friggin' hard and it's messing you up emotionally and psychologically, yes, please do yourself a favor and leave that job. But if it's like challenging you and you're getting some satisfaction from it and you're solving the problem and making progress, yes, that's the job where you should be at, and you're developing the skills. So
Yeah.
find that balance. We're not saying do either or. Find your balance.
And yeah, while you're still young, it's kind of like learn as much as you can, build up your skill set. Yeah, do things that you have thought of that you haven't really done yet. It's like, for example, like designing, graphic design. I mean, that's one thing that I really see a lot of people thriving in, is just like just the whole creative work of it, and also like yes, I mean, selling yourself in a way where everybody's gonna want you, and yeah, so I see a lot of freelancers and all that trying to build up their own company and um, these entrepreneurs, all of them. Yeah, you just have to have the mindset to just learn and build your skill set so
Learn and
that,
fail.
you
Learn
know,
and fail. Yeah. The goal is to make new mistakes and learn
mhm,
from your previous mistakes. So that's how
yeah,
to expand your skill set. So I think we'll save our successes and talk for next week. Maybe we can edit this out or
yeah,
whatever. But um, so we'll save that for next week. So let's go ahead and we're gonna jump into our recommendation of the week. So this
cool.
could be a book, a resource, an article, a movie or tip, or a quote. Um, Kenny, would you like to
Okay.
tell us your recommendation?
All right. Okay, so if you follow us on social media, we recently posted like a graphic saying TGIF. So every Friday, we're planning on posting that particular graphic. TGIF, as you all may know, as Thank God It's Friday.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we actually switched it around and just kind of made it our own. So TGIF for us means taking greatness in first. Um, at the end of the week, at the end of a long week, you have to kind of take time to reflect back on your Sunday through Thursday and see exactly how you've grown, any challenges that you've gone through that you've overcame, and what you can do to plan for the next week. So any improvements that you have to work on. So TGIF for us is a reflection of ourself um, throughout the past week, and yeah, set some time, either 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, nothing too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess with that, well, recently I was talking to one of my friends, and I got a gift from her, and I have it right here. So it's called the 5 Minute Journal. So it is something new that I just started. So in this journal, it gives you different inspirational quotes, but in addition to that, you have kind of like pages like these that ask you questions.
Interesting.
Um, so some of them include what you're grateful for, what would make today great, your daily affirmations, amazing things that happened today, and how could you have made today better. So this is something that really helps me reflect on my day, and to allow room for me to, yeah, plan for the next day and prioritize what I really need in life, like all my values, and um, yeah, staying connected with who I am. Um, yeah, so I'm excited to use this a lot more. And when you have a chance, the 5 Minute Journal is what it's called. The website for it is intelligentchange.com.
Mm,
But
awesome.
yeah, and yes, I guess one of the quotes that I really liked in this was right here. So I guess the first thing is, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. So yeah, you have these quotes here that really brighten up your day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very inspiring to just read all of those. But yeah, that's my recommendation of the week, the 5 Minute Journal. And also stay tuned for our TGIF posts. Um, and yeah, continue to take time to reflect on your day, your week, and plan for the future.
Love it.
Yep.
Taking greatness in first.
Yes.
That's something I've started implementing more and more.
Mhm.
Like I was telling Kenny, I'm learning how to edit, and it's pretty difficult for me. But for Friday, like a lot of time, a lot of people just want to relax and just look forward to the weekend. But for myself, it's like, okay, how can I organize and prioritize my weekends or my Fridays so I can get even better at like editing or any other skill. So which transitions me to my quote for the week is from Cameron Haynes. It's from this one social media influencer. He's a bow hunter. He's a ultra marathon runner, and his quote is "Nobody cares. Work harder." And for me, oh, that's so, it fires me up because a lot of times, especially in this age, people just want validation. Like, for example, you go to the gym and then you work out and you post a lot of pictures about yourself and like your progress, and that's awesome. That makes you happy. Do it. But for me, I want to get away from that validation. So this is why this quote, "Nobody cares, work harder." It's just a reminder for myself that I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for me. It doesn't matter if I achieve my goals. There's always room to work harder and to improve. So that's why I probably when I get a house, I'm putting this on my wall because there's always room for improvement. And I want
Yes.
that to be my mindset, like even if nobody's watching, that's fine.
Mhm.
This is just for me. And I'm going on my own path. I'm going on my own journey. So it doesn't
Yep.
matter if someone's with me or not with me. I need to work harder.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah. I know there's so much room for improvement, and might as well do it now and just, yeah, continue to do it. And then
I
thank you once
accept.
again. We'll catch you guys next week. And for now, just reflect back on your day, plan for the next day, and continue to stay connected.